Chapter 1, Jonas, Joestar, and the Arrow. I figured it would be another normal trip to my aunt's house, but no, this time was different. It all began with me leaving the house. I desperately needed some air. I went to wander the back of my aunt's farmhouse, where all the trees are. The leaves were wiggling and crumbling from the cold November air, but other than the leaves, this time it looked different. Near the garbage patches that my aunt for some reason collected for money, there were a lot of holes. The rock wall that had eroded away for a while, but I had never seen these holes. They were perfect circles and about the size of softballs. I went to take a look. I stuck my hand into a hole, but there was no end. It was seemingly endless hole. There was a bottom, but the length of it was seemingly endless. My hand hit the bottom of the rocky hole. I felt something cold, metal-like, and then a pain. A sharp pain on the back of my neck. It felt like something had bit me. I yelped. I put my left hand on the back of my neck, and then a pain in my hand. I yelped in pain once again. I was embarrassed to admit the fact that I was seconds away from crying. I hated the fact that I had to hold back tears. I pulled my hand out to investigate the wound, but somehow the wound was gone, and all that was left was a tiny piece of metal in my hand. I felt sick, as if I had some sort of fever. The metal was arrow-shaped, like a Native American style. It looked engraved, beautifully engraved. "Jojo, it's time to leave!" It was my mom's voice. Be right there!" I yelled back. I walked back up the hill, away from the holes. I dropped the metal shard and ran away towards the car. I spent the entire ride home. I just looked out the window, feeling sick and wondering if I'd be okay, or if I'd get tetanus or something. My name is Jonas Joestar. This is me and my friend's retelling of my freshman year, the year I wish never happened. The ride lasted as long as it usually did, about an hour. We finally arrived in the suburbs of Tacoma, Washington. Washington was a great place to live. My dad had come here. He was younger, about 20. No idea why, but all I know is I never truly got to know him in the 4 years I was with him. We fully pulled into our driveway, into the house. Our house is a white color, traditional. The garage is below it, and on top is a large window. It looks small from the front, but it's big enough. I decided to go into my room. I laid down on my bed, just staring at the ceiling. My starlight making stars dance around the ceiling in my room. I had so many thoughts. Would I get tetanus? Should I tell Mom? I got bored. Incredibly bored. My room was so quiet. I could hear footsteps from another room, which is usually not the case. I got up and went to my favorite room in the house, besides my own, my dad's office. He was into many bizarre beliefs. He would tell me stories about the adventures he went on, about his ability, and one day I may have one. I wasn't an idiot. He told me those stories when I was only 4, a few months before he died. I walked into my dad's office. The walls were mahogany wood. Same with the door, which has a faded square glass window. There was a chic desk. It had lots of files, journals, and writing utensils. It was dusty. There was probably 7 generations of spiders in there. There was small amounts of garbage, and dim, flickering yellow light illuminated the room. My mom refused to clean the office, but there wasn't a problem with that. I chose to read one of the journals. February 24th, 2011. I hope Jonas shall find these when I'm old and we are all happy at family gatherings. Or maybe he won't want to talk to me, 'cause I'm weird and such. He always tells me. Well, today was strange. I discovered something amazing. When I went to go digging for shells at my dad's old place, I found something hidden there. 3 arrows. They were silver. Beautiful. I considered pawning them, but for some reason it cut me. The pain really hurt. I went to rush inside. My dad wasn't there. He asked what was happening. I told him I cut myself. He started laughing, talking about how clumsy I was. I'm so glad he hasn't gone too senile in his old age. He grabbed my hand and looked over, telling me the wound was gone. It was indeed gone. I told him about the arrows. He got all serious. He told me to clean my hand and leave. I put the journal down. I realized the silver arrows were one of the things that had cut me. And maybe that at the time, Grandpa knew something about the disappearing wounds. There was no possible way to ask him. Grandpa died 2 years ago, when I was in 7th grade. There was a knock at the door. I walked into the hall into the dining room and opened the front door. It was Aaron, my best friend. He and I looked kind of similar. We both had blonde hair, except mine's longer and curlier, his being more spiky. We both have blue eyes, and we're both called idiots. "Jojo, what took you so long to answer the door?" he asked. "You only waited 5 minutes. Get your ass in here," I replied. "5 minutes? That felt like hours," he replied. "You're the one who chose to come here at 9:30, I said. Aaron walked in. He took off his shoes, and we walked into my room. "Hey, what's that?" he asked. I looked where he was pointing. It was the arrow fragment. I thought I had thrown it away. That? Let me just... Before I could grab it, Aaron reached for it and grabbed it. "Whoa, it's cool looking," he said. "It's like it's been forged." The fragment began to twitch and move. It began spinning. What the? The fragment moved forward straight into Aaron's fingers. He screamed and screeched in pain. I ran over to him to get him calmed down. "Ow! What the actual fuck?" Aaron had not sworn much before, but the pain must have been bad or worse than when the arrow hit me. I grabbed his hand. "Huh?" I said. This had happened with me too. There was no wound. Nothing was there. "The wound that should be there, but it's not," Aaron yelled. "That's the same happened to me," I said. "Oh gosh, am I going to get tetanus?" he asked. I ignored his question, and then remembered it. I read my dad's journal. In the journal, he said he got a wound from the arrow-like piece of metal as well. I walked over to my dad's office to show Aaron. I grabbed his journal and began to read it. February 27th, 2011. Well, another day. Yesterday, that wound was strange, and how it disappeared is also strange. I went back to my dad's office the other day, and I wanted to investigate what those things were. I went back down to where I found them. I opened the box once again and saw them. The arrows. This time there were 3. Obviously, because I took one, I gave it to my friend Leon. I hope he takes care of it. I took the other 2 and took them home. I opened one by breaking it in half. Some strange red fluid poured out of it. It smelled like blood. Because it was blood. It was disgusting. Definitely old. I'll have to do more research. I closed the book, looked at the wall, and stared blankly at it. I had no idea what to think. My tiny brain that had me failing algebra so badly that my mom took away my Xbox for 2 weeks had 0 thoughts. Nothing. Aaron approached to the side of me. I grabbed his arm and began turning it, hoping I'd find something. The wound, maybe. But nothing was there. I was confused. Aaron looked at me confused. He moved his arm back with the speed of a slingshot. "I don't understand a thing," I said. "Do we have to, though?" Aaron asked. I sighed and slid down the wall and onto the floor. "Maybe I should turn in. It's 10-something, right?" I said. "Yeah, I should probably get home," Aaron said. Aaron started walking away, right out. He closed the door of the front of my house, and I just sat there, confused at everything. I knew about that stupid piece of metal. Why did everyone that owned it get cut and end up receiving an invisible wound?